The tale starts with a dead body lying on the ground, its blood soaking into the stone beneath it. The air is still and heavy with the quiet of a recent fight, until a squad of soldiers marches into the scene. They creep forward along the path between two giant mountains toward a temple, and as they climb the stone steps, the damage they've caused gets worse and worse. When he steps onto the temple grounds, the sheer destruction is impossible to miss. The buildings stand in ruins with bodies scattered all over the ground. One old monk in the crowd can't believe his eyes, watching the strong manhua sect turn into a graveyard. As one member of the group fumes in anger, convinced that only a monster could have done this, everyone's eyes suddenly snap forward before they can even guess what happened. Suddenly, the dead begin to move. From the back of the battlefield, one man starts walking forward, and when he gets close enough for the leaders to see his blood-soaked, badly hurt face, they are shocked. They know him as the Plum Blossom Sword Saint. Without stopping, a huge wave of red energy rushes out from him. The assault hits the front lines so hard it crushes the warriors and rips through the battlefield without anyone standing in its way. As the chaos grows, a scary red glow rises up to show what really started the slaughter. Out of the shadows, a hand reaches out holding the leader of Mount Hua's severed head. Both men and women are frozen and can't do a thing. Suddenly, a young warrior steps right out into the open, daring the huge crowd to take him on. He admits he came because Mount Hua is famous for being the strongest sect. With a smooth, deadly move, he shows that everyone's talk about him was wrong. He flings the fallen leader's head at the crowd, daring them to strike together. Filled with rage and shame, the last masters launch a united attack. The warrior stands his ground and welcomes the fight, and as the moment fades, we find Dong Bongsu back in his room, immersed in a brand new virtual reality game. Inside the game, he takes control of the sword master from before, battling a sea of enemies all at once. He still struggles to believe he managed to beat so many enemies all at once. It turns out the whole slaughter was just part of the game, which is famous for its nonstop brutality, gory blood, and incredibly realistic scenes of injury and torn flesh. Bongsu is especially drawn to these elements because even though the game has already sparked huge protests and emails demanding it shut down, he's convinced there is nothing quite like it. Still, he decides to play more calmly in his next session, and as the room quiets down, a TV in his room suddenly switches to breaking news. The report says the CEO of Dodo Industries is gone. Bongsu casually thinks the man might already be dead, so he just keeps watching without any worry. Soon, odd sound began echoing outside his room. Bongsu notices something strange and turns around to check it out. Realizing the sound meant danger, he grabs a hammer stick from nearby and steps into the next room, where he finds a man tied up and shaking with fear. The man there isn't just any CEO. It's the boss who has been secretly taken and held captive by Bongsu. Bongsu sets down the hammer stick and sits across from the bound man, watching him without saying a word. After a short pause, he steps forward, lifts No's head with a firm grip, and demands to know why he is still alive. Terrified, No insists he did nothing wrong and is clueless about why he was taken. As soon as Bong-Su lets him go, No starts coughing hard. The story jumps to pieces of No's past, where he brutally beats and tortures young women without reason. Yet he still claims he didn't do it and acts totally confused. Bong-Su brings the hammer stick back into view and makes it clear that anyone truly innocent would never be the target of such a hunt. Panicking, No says he can't fix it alone and begs Bong to stop interfering right away. Bong-Su snatches him forward by his hair and growls that No must pay for his actions right now. He lifts the hammer, ready to bring it down. Right then, No suddenly crashes his head into Bong-Su's belly, knocking him back just as a hidden strength wakes up in No and shatters the ropes binding his hands, filling him with a dark joy as he locks eyes on the only goal left, killing Bong-Su. He snatches up the dropped hammer and steps forward with a clear purpose. Bongu lets out a quick gasp of surprise before settling down with a calm, steady smile. He dodges the incoming attack with ease and replies with one punch straight to the belly. The hit knocks him flat on his face, leaving him completely stunned. As he tries to get up, Bong-Su lands a sharp kick to his leg, sending him crashing down in far worse shape than before. Desperate and crawling on the floor, he spots a glowing gate ahead, thinks it's his way out, drags himself toward it, and slips inside. But as soon as he steps inside the room, he feels like someone else is there with him. As he turns around, he sees a sea of dead bodies staring right at him, and he freezes in sheer terror. Bonga steps in behind him and calmly explains that most humans are harmless, but a few are predators, and one specific hunter is tasked with removing them, at which moment Bong-Su's eyes flash red, and his true purpose is revealed. He moves forward with a determined heart to end No's life, while a terrified No tries to block him, shouting desperate curses in fear. Just as Bong Su is about to move, the door to the room explodes open. Police burst in with guns drawn, surrounding Bong Su as his commander steps up to arrest him for kidnapping, holding him captive, and murder. Bong Su stares in shock and wonders how anyone found him there. The officers rush forward, firing a warning shot to show just how real their weapons are. Bong Su watches where the bullet hits, then slowly turns his gaze back to them. The scene feels just like the game he was playing, so he starts laughing and leaves the officers puzzled. He then pulls back the curtain to show just how far CEO No went, revealing he murdered 6 women, tortured them, and took pictures of them before they died. The police look scared and shaking while No starts to panic as his secrets finally come out. Bong Su points to the bodies in the room and says that No himself took those lives. He paints people like No as hungry predators who prey on and tear apart the innocent. He showed that his actions were just part of hunting people like them. Finally, he points at No and declares that the man facing punishment today is not himself, but the man standing there. And upon hearing Bong Su's words, CEO No freezes in sheer terror. One cop casually lit a cigarette while aiming his gun, showing with his attitude that he saw nothing but a kidnapper and murderer standing right in front of him. That reply sparks a sudden wave of fury inside Bong Su. He raises his hammer, knowing that trying to explain himself to the authorities is useless, and in that moment, he accepts that words mean nothing here. Realizing this, he swings the hammer down on the CEO. The police fire back the moment the strike hits. Just as the hammer crashes down on CEO No's face, bullets fly out from everywhere. Just as a bullet speeds toward him, Bonga's last thought is a promise that if he had one more chance, he'd hunt those monsters down without thinking twice. Just as in the cruel virtual game, he desperately wants a place where he can judge others without limits. But a bullet hits him, his mind starts to fade, his memories flash by like a movie reel, and then everything goes black. After who knows how long, Bong Su's eyes fly open and a scream tears from his throat, leaving him confused and unable to understand why he is still alive after being shot. A man stands before him, equally stunned, because he thought Bong Su was dead. While Bong Su struggles to make sense of his new world, the man watching him turns red with rage just because he's daring to breathe. He grabs Bong Su by the collar and hits him. He was so annoyed that it took so much work just to pull him from the market. He shoved him into the room and walked away without a second glance, acting like the whole thing was already over. Rage burns inside Bongu as he tries to grab a stone to chase the man, but it slips away and his body fails him. He is seized by a violent cough that makes his legs feel like jelly. Walking gets so hard it feels like you can't do it at all. Confused, he tears open his clothes to look at himself, and the sight that greets him confirms something is dreadfully wrong. This isn't his body at all. His frame is so thin that bones stick out under skin that looks weak, while scars cover him like a map of every hurt he has taken. He steps outside to see the moon hanging over a vast empire, and as he looks closer, he realizes this must be the Murim world from his games and stories. As the truth finally clicks into place, his confusion melts away into a feeling so big it almost overwhelms him. The fear melts away into pure excitement, and tears mix with laughter as he lets out a joyous cry he can't stop. His wish finally comes true, not by staying alive, but by dying and being born again into a world ruled by strength, where he soon stops feeling, steadies his mind, and breaks into a creepy smile. Suddenly the scene changes to a stable where a boy named Sosum works like a machine, scrubbing horse stalls without stopping. His hands move on their own, and his body knows how to live in the dirty, smelly mess without even thinking about it. Suddenly, a servant bursts in, grimacing at the stench, and ignores the boy's condition to demand they move on to the next job. Som pauses, knowing his work isn't done yet. The pause is met with a violent blow. He remembers his spot in the house as a hungry orphan scraping by on the Dan family's leftovers, knowing that fighting back is useless and he must just follow orders. He gets pulled into a blacksmith shop where rusted weapons and broken blades are scattered everywhere. An old blacksmith waits inside with a big, scary-looking figure standing right there. She trudges through the workshop, weary from the fact that only 2 people have shown up and the mountain of weapons makes her job a nightmare. Dongo waves off the worry, treating Sam like a worker taking a hard hit that knocks him flat on his back. Without even pausing to say goodbye, Dongo turns and walks away, leaving him alone to finish the job. The blacksmith stands there silent and helpless, while Sam grapples to drag the massive bundle of weapons onto his back. The heavy sack wobbles precariously as sharp blades dig deep into its side. He buckled under the heavy weight and fell, his load crashing down next to him while he lay still utterly spent. The blacksmith walks up and sees how he looks. Sam insists on moving forward, but as he turns away, foreign memories of cold loss and endless suffering wash over him. His strength gives out once more, and he crumbles to the ground. Dongo comes back and kicks him hard without thinking, sending Sam flying across the ground. Shattered memories keep surfacing, surviving a storm all alone, begging at the Danri clan's gate, and enduring endless abuse until the biting cold steals his consciousness. In the dark, something shifted, and by the time Sam woke up in the stable, he was leaning against a wall. Though his body feels weak, his mind stays sharp. When he sees his own face in the water trough, the truth settles in and the name comes back. So Sam, it all clicks into place. The original owner died from the beating, and now another consciousness stands alone in the dim stable, checking the surroundings for memory. As he finally understands, a glowing blue screen suddenly pops up in front of him. It lines up perfectly with the Murim online status window. As time goes on, Mel trudges through the clan grounds all day, hauling feed, still fuming about what just happened. Frustration grows, and angry ideas flash through his mind, but he quickly shuts them down as too dangerous, so he walks straight to the stable. Inside, Sam slumps against the wall, bruised and bleeding with his food bowl dropped beside him. His eyes stay half open, still watching, 2 weeks after he woke up in this new world. While the people speak Chinese, this land that feels like ancient Asia is not truly China. But the martial artists here push their bodies past what normal humans can do. They jump, practice, and fight with real martial arts in this world. The system gives the all clear. The Murim status window works just fine and stays hidden from everyone but him. This isn't just a game. The people here are real, each with their own feelings and lives. He stops and thinks hard about who he has become. For now, we don't need the answer yet. Dongo steps up from the doorway and walks right over to Sam. Sam slowly turns his head to face him, but Dongo just pauses in surprise because nothing happens. Sam calmly lifts his bowl and takes a sip, ignoring him completely. Dongo gets angry and lunges at Sam, who snaps his fingers instantly to grab the punch and smash Dongo's fist back while the shift happens right before their eyes. Sam pressed on with his attack without even a second's pause. The tiny room gets so full of violence that Dongo falls down and never moves again. Sam stands surrounded by blood, feeling the heat surge through his body as he stares at his hands and quickly shakes off thoughts of who he really is. This world is real and runs on one simple rule: the strong survive. There's no point in hiding here anymore. He sits down and stares hard at the body. He opens his inventory, and a strange blue space appears instead of the familiar layout he remembers. It's just one big open room. He reaches inside to check the size before placing his hand on the dead body. His body warps and vanishes into thin air, leaving just a trail of red, and he wonders if he can push this power even further. The story moves forward into a big Murim compound bathed in sunlight. In the courtyard, 2 men chat while Sam, wearing a plain mask, sweeps nearby without making a sound. As they spot him, their faces twist into mocking grins. When he stops, one of them steps up to hit him, but Sam doesn't fight back. He just looks down, acts empty-headed, keeps sweeping, and the roll stays safe. Matchel pushes Dongbong Su forward toward the stable and presses his head hard against the post. Dongbong Su puts on his weak act and takes no fight, while Matchel lets out a quick sigh of frustration before walking away to let him carry out the order. Dongbong Su guides the horse down the crowded village streets while looking as weak as ever. With a market packed tight, the job turns into a show for everyone to watch. As he walks, he spots kids hiding nearby, waiting for him. They spring out to attack him, hurling a stone that hits him right on the head. Blood trickles down his temple, yet he keeps walking without even flinching. The kids laugh and chase after him, tossing more stones as they mock him. For just a second, his shadow grows dark and something about him changes. The kids stop dead in their tracks, terrified, while one of them starts to cry because he doesn't know what he just saw. As the moment fades, Dongbong Su acts harmless again, pats the horse, and walks on while the recovering children mock him with less confidence. He keeps walking through it all without saying a word, his steps strong and steady. Back at the armory, Matchel grumbles to himself while cleaning, annoyed at the extra work and mad that Dongo isn't there, but his grumbling stops when the door opens and Dongbong Su steps out. Matchel peeks inside and sees every weapon scrubbed clean, shiny, and lined up perfectly in neat rows. He stands frozen in shock while Dongbong Su gives a small nod, keeping his silly face right where it was. Matchel thinks the change means he is obeying her. Dongbong Su handed over a small but heavy pouch. Matchel opens the case and is shocked to see it packed with coins that were taken straight from Dongo's body. His confusion fades into satisfaction as he takes the money he thinks is a tribute and walks away feeling great. Dong Bong Su stares until the man is gone. Then his harmless smile vanishes and his eyes turn cold. As the sun sets, Matchell walks into town happy with his find, not noticing the trouble waiting for him. He feels the pouch getting heavier and thinks hard about how to use the money. He walks into the fancy brothel and hands over the money without a second thought. The owner recognizes him, hesitates for a moment over the request, but then takes the payment and points him up the stairs. Matchell slipped into the private room, poured a drink, and waited. A voice calls out from beyond the door, and then a woman walks inside. Matchell stares at her, surprised by how she looks, and waves her closer so she can kneel by the table and start serving him. Matchell relaxes, lost in thought. While alone, I watches from the dark crack in the wall. Back then, Matchell had climbed the stairs to the Bungyang Inn and was shown a room on the second floor. Downstairs, the former owner checks the bag of cash that Matchell left behind. The brief pause in his thinking quickly turns into a hungry desire to take more. Another person steps forward, and Dong Bong Su shows up dressed up as a weak stable boy. The owner glares at him in annoyance until Dong Bong Su holds up a heavy pouch, causing her to stop and stare. The owner takes it right away and points him toward a room just outside. Dong Bong Su climbed the stairs with a calm step, and the owner watched him leave with a satisfied smile. Back in Matchell's room, the boy stands shirtless with his hands tied behind his back, still not knowing that danger is waiting for him. Something shifts in the air right behind him. A piece of cloth wraps tightly around his neck. A little fight back happens, but soon it fades away. The fight came to a sudden end with a quick, sharp move. Dong Bong Su picked up the fallen body and let it drop to the floor. He keeps watching until everything goes still. He sits by the dead man's body for a moment, then starts cleaning the room with careful, steady movements. He walks up to the wall between the rooms and finds the small crack he used before. He turns around and uses his power, causing his body to disappear in a flash of blue light. He stays in his chair and looks closely at what he found. A familiar interface pops up, showing that the experience bar has crept up just a bit. It's plain to see that slaying gives you points, and those points help you grow stronger. He leans back in thought, realizing that getting stronger means doing it again and again. Power brings efficiency, and Dong Bong Su lowers his hand to stare at the empty spot where the body used to be, his mind already locked on what comes next. Dong Bong Su quickly hides his face with his arms, places Matchell's severed head into a small wall opening to leave it on display, and then walks away once the job is done. Outside in the hallway, the owner waits there, growing more and more impatient. An entertainer named Inning peeks through the door of the room Dong Bong Su rented, listens carefully, and then calls out. The owner gets annoyed at the wait and tells her to come inside. She pulls the door open and walks into the dark room. The owner stays in the hall, feeling more and more nervous as the silence on the second floor gets heavier. He peeks toward Matchell's room and knocks, but gets no answer until a scream suddenly blasts out from inside, making his worry turn into suspicion. He dashes inside and discovers a body dangling from the ceiling. In the dark and chaos, he can't tell Guakdongo from anyone else and yells for Matchell instead. The story moves to a one-way world where the northern Hawaii River and central Yangtze River flood a fertile land teeming with trade, prosperity, bandits, and rebellious groups. Hearing the news, clans and sects spring up to bring order back. Among them are the Namong and Danri clans, where the smaller Danri clan commands the Cross Heavensword Division and the Black Crow Squad, whose spy network is even sharper than the beggar sects within Anhui. Lately, the Black Crow Squad has been wrestling with a messy case that keeps them up at night. Inside their HQ, a team member hands a report to the squad leader, Gio. In the last few months, almost 100 people have taken their own lives, a terrifying number that is way too high. Every case looks perfect, as if no crime happened, but that very perfection makes people wonder. Gore requested the first recorded case and discovered it involved Matil, a weapons maker from the Danri clan. The death happened at an unknown time at the Phoenix Tavern. Gio takes it upon himself to look into the matter. Inside the tavern, Gio carefully looks around the room where Matchell was discovered hanging. He checks the floor, walls, and ceiling, but finds no sign of anyone breaking in. The sturdy wooden wall stands firm, and the ceiling beams are locked tight, proving that no one slipped inside without being seen. It is still unclear what happened. Sogwa asks if anyone stayed in the room next door. The answer confirms that another guest showed up around the same time. They called him Sasam, a member of the Danri clan. The story moves to Dong Bong Su, now called Sasam, as he walks through a village leading a horse. He checked a status window and saw that killing the man nearby had given him more experience than ever before. He realizes that hitting harder targets gives more experience, but since fighting a real martial artist would kill him, He chooses to go after people who are better than normal folks but not quite warriors yet. A bunch of rough street guys jump in his way and start laughing at him. Dong Bong Su holds his peace. They hit him and pull him into a tight, dark alleyway. He weighs the danger of killing them and getting rid of the bodies, decides it's not worth the risk, and then takes the beating. Just then, a man named Django showed up and put a stop to the attack. The thugs turn pale and shake with fear right away. Django looks the horse over and decides to give it to his boss as a gift. Dong Bong Su realizes the plan was to kill him, but then he spots the horse. Django pushes him for an answer. Dong Bong Su speaks his mind clearly and dares to challenge him straight on. The thugs froze in shock as soon as he spoke. Dong Bong Su pulls open his hidden stash of items. A bright blue light suddenly explodes in the alley, spinning around to make a swirling whirlpool. As Dong Bong Su slashes the sword from the light, a thug gets caught in the rush while a horse vanishes into the inventory. A sudden burst of power shoots out, knocking the last of the thugs backward. A system window pops up, telling everyone that Dong Bong Su has climbed from level 1 to level 2. A swirling mix of red and black light wraps around him. The thugs freeze in fear when they realize how dangerous they are. Some try to run away, while others freeze, unsure whether to fight or flee. Panic sweeps through the gang as they see what's waiting for them, and they scramble to run through the broken alley. A thug runs away in a panic, completely confused by what just happened. He trips and falls, but Psalm rushes over, pins him to the ground, grabs his shirt, and drags him off. Later, the thug wakes up to see Psalm sitting right in front of him. As S moves nearer, the thug's fear starts to take hold. Psalm pushes a knife against his own throat and orders the other man to tell him about the person who died earlier. The heavy thud told us his name was Django and that he served the Black Snake Society. He explains that the Black Snake Society is a shadowy part of the Ebony Syndicate that runs Bong's back alleys, where Django once worked as an executive, and he reveals that the leader Bangpa gave Django the order to kill Master Sum and steal the horse. Psalm digests the details and grasps how the Ebony Syndicate and Black Snake Society are built. He forces the thug to hand over every secret he knows because his own life depends on it. The thug gives in completely, and just moments later, he lies dead. Psalm checks his bags, takes away every single body, and makes sure no one can ever find a clue of them. He stayed right where he was to look over everything he had just learned. The Ebony Syndicate has become an obvious target, a group standing right between normal people and martial artists, exactly what he has been looking for, and he notices that every wound on his body has completely healed after he leveled up. He realized that even the worst wounds could heal if he took careful risks while fighting to equal their level. He thinks back to the strange light that showed up when he leveled up and realizes it's actually a sign of trouble. Both the bright light and the killings that happen after you pick up items put you in danger of being found out. A hunter must stay invisible by blending right in with the crowd. You can only level up right after a hunt or if you're hiding away in a quiet spot. Psalm stands by his horse, thinking back on what just happened. If only Django had been a bit more careful or tougher, things might have turned out differently. Pretending to be silent isn't working anymore, so he vows to get strong fast without anyone finding out, and that promise sticks like glue. A system message pops up to warn a serious problem in the Murim online system. The game keeps going, but that scary warning still hasn't gone away. SM notices the glitch popped up right after he hit level 2 and guesses it happened because his presence is messing with the system. He glances at the status window and watches as the mysterious question marks transform into clear gauge bars. He thinks the shift might be connected to the mistake and that some things in real life simply can't be measured perfectly. He looks over his abilities, seeing the basic moves like stabbing, blocking, and throwing listed right there. One special ability stands out among them all, Spirit Eye, which no one can describe or explain, leaving its true power a complete mystery. Right then, the system let out a chime saying, "You've got everything you need to wake up the spirit." A special power kicks in the moment, a much stronger foe steps within 20 meters. The distance to the display kept getting shorter, and some guessed that the Spirit Eye was just an early warning system. As he got closer to the gate, he figured it wasn't an enemy because few would dare to enter the Danri clan. A thief wouldn't move like this. Someone from one of the clans was probably walking toward them. Psalm didn't yet grasp what a 10-level gap really meant because climbing just 2 levels had already cost so much effort and risk that reaching 10 through ordinary people alone would have demanded thousands, maybe tens of thousands of lives. That gap stood heavy with the lives of many people. Someone from the powerful Damri clan was coming right at you. The door swung open. A man stepped inside, rested a hand on SM's shoulder, and asked if he was the one who killed Mel. S froze as energy surged from the man's hand into his body, racing through him to examine every part. When the check was done, the man pulled his hand back and walked away with his men. Psalm stayed quiet while his subordinate asked outside why the man left without questioning the boy and if he seemed suspicious. The man confirmed his hunch and showed how he'd already checked by pumping his inner energy into the spot. If S had trained in martial arts, some proof would still be left behind. Psalm was just a normal guy with no special power, and as he walked away, he wondered if the dead had really killed themselves or if a deadly sickness was coming to take more lives. Under a strange, glowing moon, the suicide plague in Beong suddenly vanished and was replaced by a wave of murders that swept through the city, all while heavy rain poured down. Deep inside a rowdy bar, a group of friends raised their glasses and shared a drink. One person told the tale of a nameless swordsman. The other admitted that almost everyone had heard it. The very first person insisted that the figure be called the Great Nameless Swordsman and claimed he was hunting members of the Ebony Syndicate. The second one whispered for him to keep his voice down, but the first one just waved it off, claiming the White Tiger Unit and Red Wolf sect were already gone. The second messenger said that only one group was left and warned that the Black Snake Society would not allow such talk to go unpunished. The first one said their turn was coming and warned that the Nameless Swordsman would wipe them out too. Not far away, another man just stood there and listened without saying a word. He drained his glass, rose to his feet, and walked out of the bar without a word. The view moves to the Black Crow squad mansion, where a guard is fast asleep at the gate. His friend wakes him with a sharp slap, and the guard offers a quick apology. His companion scolds him for the chaos the Nameless Righteous Swordsman is causing, warning that 3 black units are already gone and only the Black Society remains. He sees the guard drifting off to sleep once more before the protagonist strikes, chopping off the guard's head before he can even finish. The companion turns in terror and tries to speak, but the hero strikes first, ending his life in one swift blow before storming into the mansion. He barely dodges a hail of arrows fired by the soldiers and stands ready to face them. A soldier stepped forward to tell him that he had known the Nameless One would arrive. The hero pulls his sword as thunder booms, and the commander shouts for the soldiers to kill him. The soldiers rush forward together, but the hero swings his sword without stopping to cut them down, and as they fall, fear spreads through the crowd. The commander shouts for his remaining soldiers to follow him as he steps forward, vowing to take the protagonist's life with his own hands. The hero steps forward and brings down the commander and the soldiers fighting beside him. As the first soldier curses and lunges, thinking he's got you, you slash him down before the second one charges, screaming for you to give up. The hero orders the system to bring up his inventory, but a knife suddenly pops up behind the soldier, leaving him frozen in shock and wondering how it got there. Another soldier rushes forward and hits the protagonist straight on. After landing a devastating blow that leaves him laughing about finally winning, he mocks the hero for being just a mortal who can be killed, but the hero suddenly drops to one knee and rips the blade right out of his chest. The other soldiers pause, confused by a smile, but he suddenly moves to cut them down. Back at the mansion, the squad leader's friend hears the screams die down and wonders if one man can really be killing all of them. He remembers their old crimes and sees that only raw strength, not being good, decides who survives. Dripping with sweat, he makes a choice, slipping through a secret doorway into the leader's castle and stepping into the dark to fight. He yells for his men to open fire. Arrows fall from the sky like rain, and a few hit the hero. The companion pauses, unsure if the hero has really passed away. Before the enemy can finish, the hero jumps in and takes out a soldier in an instant. As the last soldiers fall, a scared friend screams out, wondering if anyone is still alive. He draws his sword to face the protagonist, demanding to know if they're the legendary Nameless Swordsman and asking what they did to deserve this fate, while protesting as they approach that he is not the Grim Reaper and has no right to judge them. Before he could finish, the hero's head was sliced off. With his sword held firm, the hero declares he only wants one thing, their lives, then strides forward to face the last survivor of the Black Society, Bang Poem, while thinking back on the White Tiger unit he had already defeated. Even after killing Django to level up, he was still weaker than most Black faction members, so he hunted them by luring, ambushing, and setting fires until more than half of the White Tiger unit was dead, earning him the title the Nameless Righteous Swordsman from officials and townspeople. Once he took on this new role, getting rid of the rebels was much simpler. After slaying the White Tiger leader, he hit level 5, unlocked his first move called Qing Gong, a lightning-fast body strike, and mastered the 3 forces sword art. Now he could face the Black faction head-on, and just as kids started playing games about the Nameless Righteous Swordsman, the Red Wolf Gate fell, leaving only the Black Society in Bong while the scene shifts to their leader, Bang Poem, sitting on the floor outside their home. As the protagonist stepped forward, Bang Poem studied him quietly before asking if he was the Nameless Righteous Swordsman, but the stranger stayed silent. Bang jokes that if he were truly a hero, he wouldn't be wrapped up so tightly like a mummy. The protagonist says he isn't one, and Bangpa asks why he hunts and kills the unorthodox faction if that's true. The hero admits he's no righteous swordsman, and with a sharp crack, he brings the conversation to a close. Poem laughs and tells everyone he has tricked them all. He stepped forward and declared that he lied to no one, for people simply see what they wish to see. As Bang Poem grabs his sword, he muses that the hero is quite interesting. Bang Poem pulls out his weapon and declares that even if he has to cross the river of the dead today, he will have no regrets. Laughing, he charges forward and shouts that no matter what titles they hold, he came to kill him, demanding to see what he has, so both men rush toward each other. Bang Pa smashes right into the hero. The hero fights back but gets blocked, and even when he strikes again, Bang Pa blocks and counters their clash until the Black Society leader finally finds a gap, hits the hero hard, and sends him flying backward. Before the protagonist could heal, the leader grinned, taunted their shaky body, and struck again, forcing the protagonist to block. Another punch hits, but I block it again as I realize the leader is specifically aiming for the wounds he already has. He knows that if he keeps going this way, he will lose, even if it means giving up his own life. As the battle rages on, the leader calls out to see what's going through the protagonist's mind. The hero blocks a blow and shouts to unleash the 3 swords, but before he can, the leader wraps him up with a whip-like blade and declares victory, leaving the hero shocked and trapped as he struggles in vain. Watching him, the leader says the trick worked and adds that he's never seen a whip before. Just as the leader is about to strike, the hero bursts free, flips the fight around, and sends him flying backward. The hero stands quiet and watches from far away. Before he could heal, a giant, glowing snake made of light suddenly popped out in front of him, and the hero jumped at the surprise. The leader stands up and says that using your own body as bait is not what a martial artist does, but rather the path of an assassin or a hunter. When the leader showed his snake-like shape, he said that in a fight to the death, the one who hides best wins. He rips his clothes and shouts that he had more hidden away while the protagonist had less, calling it a fatal flaw, but the protagonist stands firm with sword in hand. Moving forward, the leader declares that the protagonist has no moves left, orders him to die, calls him the nameless murderous demon, and as he speaks, the glowing snake-shaped structure advances toward the protagonist with its jaws wide open. As the snake-like shape moves closer, the hero freezes for heartbeat. He swings his blade hard, making a whirlwind that sweeps the air up into a cloud of dust and junk. With dust filling the air, Bang Poem says that hiding his eyes won't help him. Once the dust settles, Bang Poem spots a figure and slashes it in half with a snake whip, only to realize the victim was a member of the Black Society. It was just a trick, and looking up, he saw the hero above him unleash a powerful sword move and crash down for a direct hit. Bang Bo thrusts his hand forward, catching the blade right before it can slice in his heart, and as the sword sinks deep into his palm, a sharp cry of pain tears from his throat. The protagonist saw Bang Poem stop the attack in a split second to guard a weak spot, but an angry Bang declared the fight wasn't over and swung his whip sword back at him. The protagonist tries to pull his blade back to fight, but Bang Poem holds it tight and won't let go. Just before the whip sword strikes, the protagonist dumps his inventory to create a wall of bodies, which the whip cuts through as they crash down, leaving Bang Poem shocked that these unknown corpses reveal the protagonist still has secrets up his sleeve. Furious that he can't find him, Bang Poo swings his whip sword wildly and shouts that the other guy is using dead bodies to fight. Suddenly, an arrow shoots straight at him. He slashes through the air with his whip sword to block the blow. Right after, another arrow shoots through Bang Poem's head. Just as he gets hit, he starts to wonder what's happening and suddenly realizes he might just be the prey. Just then, Bang Poem spots someone else walking right up to him. He suddenly wakes up and shouts loudly. He swings his whip sword, and the figure vanishes in an instant. After the strike, he discovers the body is one of his own men. Suddenly, the hero steps out from behind and drives his sword straight through Bang Poem's chest. He pushes the blade all the way in before pulling it back out. Bang Poem stares at his bleeding side and asks why the entire Black Society in Bong has been wiped out, leaving him to wonder what crime he must have committed. The protagonist just said he doesn't need a reason. From the earliest days to today, people have always been killing other people. The powerful trample on the weak, and as he steps closer to press his sword against Bang Poem's neck, he declares that this time, he is the one holding the power. With a quick move, he puts an end to him. The world goes quiet except for the rumble of thunder as the hero steps out. He steps forward, scraping the blood from his blade. He stops to realize that with every member of the Black Society gone in Bong, His plan is done, so he heads to Murim's Jianghu to begin the next phase, where the hunters become stronger and their prey harder to catch. The scene moves to a huge mansion where the leaders are gathered, and the main one asks how much time is left before the war with the evil spirits begins. The assembly member says there are still 2 years left. The leader confirms the schedule and declares it's time to start the grand plan, and he calls for Guangwun. Guangwun stepped forward, bowed back to the leader, and took the order to carry out the first plan without a second thought. The story moves to a sad moment as the hero rides his horse through the quiet village market. Sitting at an outdoor restaurant, a man told his friend that the nameless swordsman has completely wiped out the black society. His friend responds that the merchants and courtesans are in chaos and admits he never thought the black faction in Banyang would be wiped out entirely. The first man says he should now go by the name of the nameless righteous swordsman. A man dressed in green steps up and shakes his head, wondering if even a hero has the right to take lives like that. The first man snaps at him to keep his mouth shut and reminds him of the dark society's actions, declaring that they deserve to die. The man in green pauses to think, but his friend reminds him that officials and traditional leaders never cared for ordinary people. Only nameless swordsmen ever stepped up for them. The man in green admits that without him, nobody would have ever stepped up to defend people like them. The first man jumps up and shouts praise for the nameless swordsman who pushed the black faction out of Bong, while everyone else joins in and the people nearby start cheering too. In a heartbeat, the whole village begins shouting his name, but the hero keeps walking away calmly, saying it's finally time for him to go too. As the sun dips below the horizon, he finds himself standing before the Damri clan's home and the nearby stables, only to be alerted that a powerful enemy has crept within 20 meters, and he realizes his true spirit is already drawn toward that very stable. He opens the gate and walks in to find 2 figures waiting, who turn out to be Dio, the leader of the Black Crow unit, and Damri Cho, the head of the Damri clan known as the Flying Heavenly Demon Sword, causing the hero to kneel in confusion as he tries to figure out why they have come. Damri Chanua gently pats the horse's head and whispers that it's time to say goodbye to him too. Gazing down at his own feet, the protagonist saw that Damri Chua was floating just a little bit off the ground. Damri Chanu says that on the next full moon, the second daughter of the Namon clan head will get married. Gi Dejo asks if he's sure about sending his beloved horse as a gift to say congratulations. Damri Chanwu insists that sending one of his children to the Namon clan would mean far more than just a horse, even though marriage ties and the 9-bow ceremony are important, because crossing a stream is much easier with 2 logs than with just one. Gi Dejo says the Namon clan might reject both of them, but Damri Chama just laughs and says that's exactly why he called him, because he doesn't care how they get things done. He puts a hand on Gi Dejo's shoulder and insists he make it happen, causing Gi Dejo to tense up. Damri Chanwu pulls his hand back and tells him to leave right away, because he has a lot to do tomorrow, so Gi Dejo bows and agrees. Dan Chanwa points at the protagonist and tells Gi Dejo to take it to the Namong family, because he's needed to handle the horse. Gi Dejo nods in agreement, but stares at the protagonist with a puzzled look. The scene moves to the next morning, right in front of the Damri clan's home. The hero stands by a shed with his horse, thinking about how to learn the true way of fighting instead of just using the tricks he already knows. He copied the moves of family warriors and black unit leaders, but it was just a copy. Learning from a secret manual is the worst choice, while studying under a master is best. Yet finding a mentor at 18 is hard. So he's relieved things turn out this way, and now, while waiting near the soldiers, he thinks about the powerful Namon clan, where a journeying princess offers chances to catch stronger prey. Gi Dejo steps forward to check on the gathered group, nods as the Black Crow unit finishes coming together, and asks who is missing. A soldier responds that only the young master and young lady haven't shown up yet. Shi Dejo clenched his teeth in anger. He says that Danri Ganghai is probably waiting at a tavern in Bong, adds that Danri Y hates traveling with subordinates and will catch up later, and then orders the unit to start moving. The cavalry moves forward, but Gi Dihio pauses right outside a tavern and orders everyone to stop. A booming voice echoes from inside. Gi Diho looks annoyed as he thinks about Damri Ganghai, the trouble-loving eldest son of Danri Chano who, despite being a talented martial artist good enough to join the Namgong clan, is known for his wild ways with drink, women, and the rumors that chase him around. As Gi Dejo walks up to the tavern, the noise gets louder, and he says that Danri Ganghai is beating someone up again. Suddenly, a man flies through the wall and smashes into the next one, and Gi Dejo sees him and yells out to young Master Dry. A warning flashes that a much stronger enemy has crept within 20 meters. Ganghai flops onto the ground and screams threats at someone. Another man steps closer, moving right up to him. Gi Dejo stares at that man in shock, realizing he's a master with skill, so great it feels like too much for anyone to handle. An old man steps forward, letting out a powerful green light as he moves straight at Ganghai. Qi Dezhou steps forward and calls out for him to stop. The old man turns around and asks, "Who are you?" He hits once more, sending a shockwave crashing out. Qi Dezhou steps forward as the leader of the Damri clan's Black Crows, reveals the suffering youth is the clan's master, and warns the old man to move his foot or face the consequences. The soldiers reach for their guns. Even the Black Crow unit's leader doesn't know who this man is. An unknown master from outside the world, who knows the Murim like the back of his hand, has arrived with forces so powerful that Qi Dezhou cannot defeat him. And the old man watches Qi Dezhou and his soldiers with the calm confidence of a lion who knows it doesn't need to crush a tiny bug to prove its strength. He casually replies, wondering what the Damri clan is and if there's something to eat. Qi Dezhou's face darkens with rage as he boldly challenges anyone to insult the Damri clan. The old man says he doesn't know if the Damri clan is food or a stepping stone. So enraged, Qi Dezhou draws his sword and orders the Black Row unit to save the young master. On his order, the soldiers rush forward. The old man stays calm, raises his hand, gathers energy into a single point on his finger, and sends out a sharp strike. Suddenly, the attack hits the moving soldiers, sending the whole group flying through the air and slamming them down onto the ground. The attack hits Qi Dezhou too, and as he drops, he sees the soul-chasing butterfly for what it really is. Lying half asleep on the floor, he starts talking in total shock. An old farmer steps forward to introduce himself as Tang Wu, the deadly soul-chasing poison hand from the mighty Sichuan Tang clan, a terrifying figure among Murim's 10 greatest warriors whose poisonous touch ensures no one ever escapes. If Damri Ganghai offends someone like Tang Wu, the Damri clan could face terrible trouble. A girl in green walks up to Tang Wu and calls him Grandpa, and he answers her back. She says they should go, calling the locals foolish, but Tang Wu's face softens and he agrees that this is enough to show the young master how big the world really is. He gives Ganghai one more sharp slap. Then he tells Qi Dezhou that a descendant of the Orthodox faction causing trouble since mourning is truly disgraceful. Though he could have punished him severely, he instead warns the young master that harassing women will shorten his life. Qi Dezhou, who couldn't move, thank him for showing mercy. Tang Wu pulls the poison darts out his men. The darts disappear into his hand, and as he yells for his granddaughter to run, he suddenly feels something strange. His eyes turn to the fallen soldiers lying on the ground. He spots the protagonist in the crowd, heads over to him, and tells W to stay put. The hero can't help but wonder why Tang Wu is walking straight toward him. Tang Wu stands there in silence, just staring at him. Why bother asking what's going on when Tang Wu just says it's nothing special, as he simply has a question for the child. The protagonist is so confused that Tang Wu has to ask for his name. The protagonist stays quiet, so Tang Wu shouts the question again. The protagonist stayed quiet, which made Tang Wu so angry he shouted, "You brat." Qi Dezhou steps forward with a bow and tells us that the boy is a horseman who cannot speak. Tang Wu leans in close to study the protagonist, then asks if he is unable to speak. He studies him carefully, realizing Tang Wu is evaluating him like a rare gem, and if such a master sees worth in him, it's a chance to finally leave behind the life of Sosum, the horse handler. Tang Wu suddenly seizes the protagonist's hand and feels the energy rushing through his body. Then he starts laughing, turns to Qi Dezhou, and asks if they're going to the Nam Gang clan, to which Qi Dezhou confirms they are on their way for a marriage alliance. Tang Wu asks the child what he does, and Qi Dezhou explains that his job is to take care of the Fergana horse they are giving as a gift. Tang Wu smiles and offers to take the child, but Qi Dezhou jumps up to say no, warning that no one else can control the horse. After a quick thought, Tang Wu suggests they take the horse to the Nam Gong family first. Once he arrives, he'll take the child, promise to talk to Nam Gong himself, and if needed, even write a letter to the Damri clan leader along with the money. Qi Dezhou hesitates before agreeing, saying they'd give the boy a horse and a ride regardless. Tang Wu laughs out loud and shows just how happy he is. He shouts for him to move fast and stay close behind. Qi Dezhou's face twisted with clear anger as he ordered the soldiers to rush the young master to a doctor, then told the rest of the Black Crow unit to move out again. The protagonist still doesn't know what to think, while Qi Dezhou stays on edge and Tang Wu feels happy. They keep moving until night falls, finally reaching Nien. Qi Dezhou shouts that they'll make that spot their home for the night. The soldiers walked in and started to eat their food. Deep inside the stable, the hero sits on the dusty ground and closes his eyes to listen to his own thoughts. After beating the Black Society, he gained better control over his inventory, allowing him to summon it from about a meter away, and with more practice, that reach could get even farther. Through it, he can pull swords or dead bodies out and shoot them forward, but they move too slowly to really scare Master. He scoops up a pinch of sand, lets it slip through his fingers, opens his bag, and watches it vanish right inside. He pulls it back into his hand, showing how practiced he has become. He discovers a new trick where everything he swallows, like a pinch of sand, instantly vanishes into his inventory, and he calls this amazing ability a divine art. He hears someone walking toward the stable. W wonders why her grandfather wants someone as broad as him there at this late hour. She points the way and tells him to keep moving that direction. They march toward the room, while soldiers keep a watchful eye on them as they pass. At the door, W shouts that they have arrived and steps inside. Tang Wu perches on a wooden block while staying inside. He asks him to sit cross-legged on the platform. W takes a seat, and so does the main character. Tang Wu orders the protagonist to take off all their clothes. He strips down and sits back down, gets a look from Tang Wu who nods and says his build is decent, then pulls out a box of Dragon Phoenix golden needles. We're asked what he plans to do next. Tang Wu puts down the box and tells a tale. Just as oranges from Hainan turn into trifoliate oranges in Hei, if Hainan stand for the Damri clan and Hei for the Tang clan, then the Sosum orange must change into something else entirely. He puts his hand on the box and tells the protagonist that he's about to start a ritual that will be so painful it might break them. But if they survive, they will get something far better, and their muteness will finally be gone. So Tang Wu opens the box. With light flooding the room, he asks if he really has to do it. The protagonist stayed quiet, but W stepped up to object, saying, "We can't decide on such a big thing without the elder's permission." And then she explained everything to Tang Wu. He listens with a smile, laughs at her story, and then nods to show he understands. Tang Wu pulls out a golden needle and asks if you are ready to take on the Tang family name. Tang Wu reflects quietly on the rare and legendary martial gifts that have shaped Murim's history, only to realize that the true, unexpected talent he has discovered is far more important than how often such gifts appear. This boy has a body like none the world has seen since Murim first began. At first, the body looked like an ordinary, untrained one with no meridians. But his body has no acupoints or life pathways like any human should, making it feel as though he doesn't belong to the world of people at all. But with no existing path to follow, any route he carves becomes the only way forward, giving him a chance to bring back the ancient 10,000 flower rain, a powerful skill that has survived only as a memory for centuries. If that happens, Murim's power will kneel before the Tang family. Tang Wu grips the needle tightly, knowing the future of his family rests in his hands. He points the needle directly at the protagonist and asks once more if he will take the Tang name. The protagonist nods as Tang Wu explains he still isn't fully part of the Tang family. He has to head to the Tang clan to prove his worth to the elders and the family head, even if it means losing his life trying. He asks if he should go ahead anyway. The protagonist nods once more, and Tang Wu surges forward, his power flaring as he announces he is about to begin the Great Reformation ritual. He tells the soldiers exactly who should stand guard. As Tang Wu steps outside, he makes many needles float in the air around him. He simply waves them toward the hero's body. Clutching the golden needle, he shouts that he is about to start. He drives the needle right into the top of the hero's head. The tip starts to glow green. Sitting on a wooden block, the protagonist watches Tang Wu and Hua talk without a sound, only moving their lips, and he smiles because he used to do the same thing while hunting, and though his status window tells him he is neither fully human nor a character, he decides to just go along with their game. After a lot of work, Tang Wu sets needles all over the protagonist's body. Tang Wu steps back to study him, seeing that the fresh acupoints are clear and his energy rushes through him like a wild river, far faster than any normal fighter. But he must be careful, so Tangu opens a box of bugs and picks out a spiky, centipede-like creature with a sharp needle. To keep others from stealing what he holds dear, he squeezes the sticky goo into the protagonist's ear as a safety measure. Then, he carefully pulls every single needle out one by one. By the time the sun went down, the whole ceremony was done. Tang Wu tells him that from now on, he is no longer just the Damri family's horse handler, but a true member of the Tang clan, the most powerful family in Sichuan. After a brief pause, Tang Wu calls the new arrival Tang Sam, and the main character stands up with a bright smile. As the protagonist waits outside with nerves on edge, she slips out of the room in fresh clothes and moves away from the crowd. With his special power, he pulls the millipede right out of his body. It appears in his hand. He crushes it right away and knows that Sosum of the Damri family is gone. He has become Tang Sam, the new head of the Sichuan Tang family. With arms wide open to the sun, he welcomes this fresh start. The story moves to a huge house perched on a hill, bathed in the bright glow of the moon. Deep inside the grand house, strange noises drift out from one of the rooms. A white-haired man and a woman were lying together in bed. They were savoring their special moment together. Once their moment ends, she rests on the bed and slowly opens her eyes. Suddenly, she spots a masked killer dropping from above with a sword. And just as she freezes in shock, the white-haired man leaps off the bed to hit the ground, but the assassin lands right there and swiftly kills the woman with his blade. The man with white hair rises and studies his clothes. He notices blood on his expensive silk robe, complains about the damage, angrily demands to know the assassin's name, but the assassin stays silent and points his sword at him. Then he slashes with his blade, sending out dark energy waves as he moves forward. The white-haired man blocks the strike with his sword, creating a spark of energy, and then notes that the assassin is not as strong as he thought before pulling out a second blade with magic to strike harder with both at once. The assassin leaps back just in time to dodge the blow. The white-haired fighter keeps pushing forward, landing another hard blow that shoves the assassin back. The assassin instantly gathers dark energy around his blade in response. As the two attacks smash into each other and vanish, the assassin stumbles back, only for the white-haired man to realize he is fighting Mad Cloud, the master of the ink light killing sword, and to wonder if it has really been 10 years since they last met. The white-haired man laughs and sits down in his chair, proving he knows Mad Cloud is truly that assassin, because only he could correct the time with such perfect accuracy. He then wonders why the 18th Cloud himself has come to visit. Mad Cloud steps up to the white-haired man named Ash Shadow to hand over the first stratagem order, and when Ash Shadow asks what it is, Mad Cloud confirms that it is the first stratagem. The white-haired man stiffens up and scrapes his nails across the wooden table after hearing those words. He admits the plan is finally starting and asks where the Shifting Shadow is. Mad Cloud tells the white-haired man that Shifting Shadow is tied to the naming clan and getting married on the 15th, which leaves the man confused until he realizes Shifting Shadow is part of the plan and asks how big the operation really is. Even as his nails carve into the table, he declares that every soul must fall except for Shifting Shadow and Nam Gong Hai. He also warns that the soul-chasing poison hand is coming to Ennui soon, and their current forces won't be enough to stop it. Mad Cloud agreed to send 5 shadows, and the white-haired man nodded, thinking that would be enough. Mad Cloud hands over the orders and gets ready to go, but before he vanishes, the white-haired man asks him what his real name is. Mad Cloud shrugs off the question and disappears using his special trick, leaving the white-haired man fuming and complaining about his attitude. He mutters that he feels jealous because while shadows were meant to live alone, one of them has even won the first beauty of Ennui as a bride, so he stays in the gloomy spot, leaves the room, and flicks his finger. At the signal, a servant steps forward instantly to wipe down the room, drag the body from the bed, and silence every guard on duty, all while bowing to call him branch leader. The white-haired man strolls out onto the balcony and gazes down at the sprawling city. They discover that the Grand Mansion is actually the home of the Onu branch of the Heavenly Demon Cult. The man with white hair is the branch leader called Pega, the Naked Silver Demon. Standing on the balcony and gazing out at the city, he realizes the operation is finally starting, while Tang Wu and the soldiers keep moving toward their goal. Tang Wu waves everyone a halt and points out that they've reached Ennui, the city ruled by the Nam Gong clan, even faster than they thought. The scene moves to the city, where fire lanterns light up the sky and lively streets buzz with cheering crowds and entertainers as everyone celebrates together. At the mansion's front gate, a few hungry folks bow down to a soldier and plead for just a bit of rice to share. The soldier gets mad, shouts that they have no clue where they are, and kicks them out, but one of the hungry men begs for just a few scraps to eat. The soldier kicks the man hard, sending him crashing into the others, and one of the poor men shouts for his fallen friend. Just then, a voice called out from inside the mansion, wondering what all the shouting was about. The gate swings open and a tall man with long brown hair steps out, causing the soldier to quickly bow and explain that a crowd of beggars had gathered at the entrance. The man with brown hair just stares at the soldier without saying a word. From afar, 2 onlookers spot the scene, with one recognizing the man as Du Ho, the banquet center of attention, while the other remarks on his towering and striking looks. Du Ho walks over to the man he just kicked, checks if he's okay, offers him a hand, helps him stand up, tells the soldier to share food with the poor, so there are leftovers before the wedding, and the soldier agrees. Then Du Ho goes back inside the mansion. The 2 watchers keep talking about him, with one saying he truly lives up to his rising star reputation by having both a good heart and strong fighting skills, which is why the Namon clan's daughter picked him, while the other adds that he once went alone to Jianghu and beat the Yin-Yang twin demons who had terrorized the land for decades, making it truly amazing that a wandering young warrior defeated them and later became the Namong clan's son-in-law. As they talk, one starts sharing whispers about the Thunderblade Emperor, the greatest martial artist under heaven 300 years ago, just as Tang Wu bumps into him. The man tries to speak up, but Tang Wu cuts him off sharply, and the moment the man realizes who he is, the soul-chasing poison hand, fear takes over. Tang Wu grabs the man by the head and slams him to the ground, then walks away, telling him to move out of the way while calling them useless, and he and the others keep heading toward the mansion. Inside the mansion, Du Haioke is greeting an old guest when he suddenly sees someone moving near the gate. When Tang Wu reaches the entrance, he shouts for quiet, and the crowd gathers around him as he demands that anyone with a message speak up directly instead of whispering behind his back. Duho steps outside and asks Tang Wu to calm down. He bows politely and says his name is Du Haio. Tang Wu admits that the young man he met was the reason he traveled so far, signed that it would have been better to meet him sooner, while Du Hawk looks confused and asks what Tang Wu means. Tang Wu walks through the mansion, ignoring the question to ask if Byac is there and safe, only for Hurley to offer to guide him to the waiting clan leader, while the system warns him that a deadly enemy with a huge level advantage is creeping closer behind him. From this, he decides that the strange new signal must belong to Du Haio. He examines Du Haio's body more closely and notices that while everyone else has slight differences like uneven shoulders or mismatched limbs, Du Haioke is perfectly balanced and symmetrical. The protagonist realizes this creature is his own kind, a dangerous predator disguised as a human. The scene moves outside the Namong clan King's Hall. Du Haioke guides them to a huge building with many swords stuck in its roof. When Tang Wu spots the swords of former clan leaders, he scoffs at their claim to be kings and warns that they will all end up buried in graves just like everyone else. Du Hawk tells Tang Wu to wait outside while he goes in to announce their arrival. Tang Wu shakes his head, strides straight up the stairs, and reminds the clan head that he was already told to wait right there. He bursts through the doors and finds an older man talking to a yellow-haired woman, who gasps in surprise and calls him uncle the moment he steps inside. He steps forward to greet him with "It's been so long," and while Tang Wu jokes about how undignified it is for a clan head to run around, he also admits it's a joy to see him again, prompting the man to laugh and say Tang Wu hasn't changed at all. From afar, Tang Hua watches them and wonders if her grandfather and the clan leader were always so close, until the yellow-haired woman spots her, walks over with a warm hello, and Tang Hua replies that she looks even more beautiful than before, while the woman smiles and asks if she has been well. Du Haio coughs to get noticed, admits he was too flustered to say hello earlier, introduces himself as Du Haio, while Tanga introduces herself as Tang Hua and jokes that she can call him brother-in-law. Nam Gonghai blushed in embarrassment as Du Haio chuckled and said the title sounded perfect, while Tang Hua teased that she never thought the Shy Hai would get married before her. Hai blushes harder as the jokes keep coming. Hi. He looks at the hero and asks who he is. Tang Hua starts to speak, but the protagonist steps up first to introduce himself as Tang Sam. And though he hesitates at first, he finally shakes Duho's hand with a smile. Duho tells them he'll head to Soho Lake with Hai that night, and invites Tang Sam to join them. The story moves to the shores of Soho Lake, where the water sparkles with dozens of tiny floating lamps. From the boat on the lake, the group watches the scenery with interest, and Tang Hua looks at the view and expresses excitement at how beautiful it is. Du Hawk says the lake is famous for its beautiful views, especially at night, and Nam Ganghai loves seeing the moon's reflection there. So while the women chat, Du Haio goes to Tang Sam and suggests the men should have a drink. He promises to bring some liquor before taking his leave. From behind, Tang Sam watches Du Haio, the man everyone expects to join the Namong clan, but knows he's hiding a dangerous secret like a predator waiting to strike, and suspects this powerful figure is plotting something big. Suddenly, he realizes he's tangled up in a much bigger secret plan, and right then the system warns him that a deadly enemy, far stronger than him, has crept within 20 meters. Tang Sam glances toward the ship's entrance with confusion, carefully noting that since the vessel is tiny, the enemy must be hiding on the lower deck. Du Haio soon returns with liquor, admitting it took longer because it was hidden in a strange spot, which makes Tangam realize a new enemy has appeared. Duho pulls out a rare drink called Golden Bud Liquor and hands it straight to Tang Sam. Tang Sam takes a quick pause, then politely explains he isn't feeling great and asks if he could take a short walk around the ship. Duho nods and tells him that asking the boatman will let him sail anywhere he wants. So Tang Sam starts walking around the ship while warning sounds keep telling him an enemy is right nearby, and even though he's moving away, The distance count keeps dropping until he realizes there must be two of those powerful foes hiding close by. As the countdown ticks from 4 meters down to 1, Tang Sam realizes that the enemy force includes at least 5 tough opponents, each stronger than him by 10 levels or more. He leans over the ship's railing, watching the lake while realizing that since they haven't kidnapped Nam Gong Hai yet, their real target must be the entire Nam Gong clan, a powerful enemy group far stronger than him that could destroy the clan if they invade, leaving him stuck in the middle of everything. Tang Wu stands with the Namong clan as enemies close in, realizing he's trapped between them both, so he knows he must move before the ship reaches its destination. Then the scene changes to show a bunch of ships sailing toward the Namong clan city. Deep within the city, a squad of soldiers marches toward a looming building. When they reach the entrance, a soldier questions their leader, Zhang Gong, saying that checking everything along the way feels excessive and wondering if it's truly necessary. The squad leader snaps back with fury, blaming the soldier for defying orders and asking if following simple commands like checking every spot has suddenly become too hard. He grabs the soldier by the head, prompting the shaken man to quickly explain that he only spent a few minutes inspecting what felt like a waste of time. But the leader replies that with the wedding coming up, it's natural to check the area over and over again to make sure everything is safe. He then tosses the soldier aside and tells him to stop whining. As another gruff soldier shoves the whining one toward the door, demanding his lantern and mocking him for being new, they step inside while the squad leader mutters to himself that the whole thing feels like a tedious chore. He quips that a warrior should be chopping off enemy heads while singing rather than wasting time on boring inspections, because if an enemy showed up, he'd certainly not be this bored. Deep inside the dark tunnel, 2 soldiers shuffle forward with a flickering candle as one grumbles about being stuck on duty while others drink, only for the rookie to get a surprise when the protagonist suddenly steps out and snuffs out the flame. The tunnel instantly plunges into darkness, and one of the soldiers starts screaming that an enemy is there. The hero lunges and slashes down the first soldier, then swiftly turns and kills the terrified second one before he can run away. Once they step out of the tunnel, the squad leader waits and lets out a big yawn. He wonders why the soldiers are taking so long and thinks they might be slacking off, so he grabs a wooden torch and decides to go into the tunnel himself to deal with them. But as he walks deeper, he suddenly spots a severed arm on the ground, which makes him panic and shout for the rookie and Dotello, only to finally see the horrific scene ahead and become terrified while realizing the squad leader is examining the bodies and trembling in fear. The protagonist hears his own voice, turns to face him, and calmly says the missing arm has finally arrived. The squad leader lunges at them, so the hero grabs his sword and steps right in to face him. The two stare each other down with pure rage until the squad leader charges forward and lands a hard blow. The protagonist blocks the hit, but the sheer power behind it shows his opponent is way stronger than he thought, and with a heavy follow-up swing from the squad leader, the protagonist gets slammed backward and slides across the floor. When the squad leader spots him, he angrily questions why the man is here with Tang Wu, but the protagonist stays quiet before claiming he acted for the Namong clan, which only makes the leader furious as he points to the bodies stuck in the tunnel and readies to kill without mercy, causing blue energy to swirl around him as he unleashes the heavenly wind sword technique, while the protagonist glows with red energy to prepare his second form of the 3-element sword, and as they charge at each other with the leader using the heavenly wind wandering clouds and the protagonist striking with the yellow dragon, their clash creates a massive explosion that shakes the tunnel and sends water flying everywhere. The force of the crash sends them both flying backward. After recovering, the squad leader swings his blade in a blur, launching a flurry of energy strikes straight at the protagonist. Before he can even react, a massive barrage crashes down, mauling him and hurling his body into the air only to slam him hard against the wall. He takes a quick look at himself and sees how bad the injuries really are. Without letting him catch his breath, the squad leader charges in with a fresh hit, and even though the hero flips to dodge, the strike lands and slices through his fingers, sending his sword flying while the squad leader laughs. Sure, the battle is won now that he's left with nothing but his fists. In that very second, the protagonist flings his sword, catching the squad leader just by the cheek with a sharp slice that sends him stumbling back while he stares in shock, realizing the blade shouldn't have been in his hands to begin with. Feeling the wound, he is shaken by the surprise attack. It was so close to turning into a much bigger disaster. The hero rushes forward without thinking and swings his sword hard, but the squad leader meets it with his own blade to block the blow. Just as it seemed like the end, the hero's sword vanishes right before their eyes. The swing misses its mark, knocking the squad leader off balance and sending him tumbling forward. He scrambled back to his feet, but dread washed over him when he saw that the same terrifying thing was happening again. Before he could even blink, the hero slammed a hard hit right into his face. The blast knocks the squad leader right through the wall and sends him soaring into the air. The hero jumps right after him, closing the gap with his sword held high and ready to strike. Just as the blade comes down and the squad leader freezes in terror, thinking he's about to die, the attack only slices a shallow line across his other cheek. The hero's strength fades from his many wounds, and he loses his speed, crashing back down to the earth. The squad leader lands softly, but the protagonist crashes hard down as his body has reached its breaking point. Seeing that, the squad leader thinks the fight is done. He laughs, sure he's beaten his opponent, but as he slowly stands up with heavy breaths, he sees his terrible wounds and realizes his experience has finally reached its limit, sparking a new idea in his mind. He didn't wait a second before sprinting forward once more. The squad leader readies his strongest move as blue energy swirls around his blade to unleash the final form of the heavenly wind sword. He unleashes a barrage of energy blasts that slice through the hero's arms and knock him to the ground, only for the squad leader to rush in and kick him hard in the chest to pin him down. Feeling sure he has won, he readies to end the fight and lifts his sword toward your head. Just as things start to feel off, the hero keeps grinning while a pale blue light creeps out of his mouth, and the squad leader spots it and freezes too late to do anything about it. Right then, a blade bursts from the hero's mouth and slices clean through the squad leader's head. The strike hits true, and the fight is over in an instant. Her body goes limp and falls still. The second the kill is done, the hero's world shifts forever. As his power grows, his body starts to glow with blue energy. A surge of light descends from above and strikes him.